echo. The bridge was very narrow, and it was only 39 feet across, but the total cost to build it was going to be something like $6 million. So if you know anything about government contracts, you know that the guy who came in at $6 million is the one that got the contract. So they started building it, and right away they started noticing some problems. And the problems was that when the wind came through here, under the Narrows, that the bridge would kind of rock up and down like a roller coaster. And the construction workers called it galloping gurney. Now they knew this was going to be a problem going forward, so they brought in all kinds of experts to try and calm the bridge down. They had cables that ran from the bridge deck into the water, connected to 50-ton blocks of concrete. That didn't work. They had hydraulic buffers at each end of the bridge that would try and slow the bridge down. Those kind of work. Hang on one second, I'm just listening to this right now. So one of the duties as a captain is we monitor channel 16, which is the way that we communicate with each other boat to boat if we're having an emergency. So whenever something pops in on channel 16, I have to pay attention for a moment. So anyway, you notice we're starting to cruise underneath the bridge. We are doing 3.1 knots without any propulsion from the boat whatsoever. And I've seen the current come through here at 9, 10, 11 knots, and it just rips through here. So at any rate, they tried lots of stuff, but in July of 1940, the bridge opened for public use. And people used to pay the toll to go across the bridge, which was 75 cents back then. It's like $5.50 now, thank you very much. And they would just pay the toll to go across the bridge, just kind of ride it like a carnival ride. It would jump up and down. But there was still kind of, it was scary for the bridge engineers, and they said, we got to fix this problem. So they hired a professor out of the University of Washington, and they said, hey professor, we need to fix this bridge. It's jumping up and down, and it shouldn't do that. It's going to break. So he came up with lots of ideas to fix the bridge. One of them was drilling holes in the girders. Now as we go under the bridge here, the side of the bridge that you see with the triangular squares, those are called girders. The Leon Mosif Bridge had solid panels of steel that were 8 feet tall. So when the wind came through here, it would get up underneath those panels and rock the bridge up and down. So the professor said, we can drill lots of holes in there and let the wind come through. And they were like, no, that's probably not going to work. So they built a wind tunnel, and they built a scale model of the bridge, put it in the wind tunnel. They did some more experiments, and they came up with an idea of putting fairings on the bridge that would act kind of like an airplane wing. Because what was happening was the bridge is it was getting this what's called aerial elastic flutter. The more the wind, that it would just be self-perpetuating and it wouldn't stop. So they said, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Well, they made the decision to do that on November 2nd, 1940. And then on November 7th, 1941, excuse me, is when the bridge came down. And at 7:30 in the morning, they shut the bridge down because the wind was coming through here at about 40 miles an hour. The bridge was jumping up and down so violently that chunks of concrete and asphalt were being thrown into the air. The suspension cables were snapping. Rivets were flying off the bridge like bullets. It was very frightening. A box truck at the west end of the bridge flipped over. The two guys that were in there got out and scrambled to the other side. But there was a vehicle that made it almost 3/4 of the way across the bridge before they shut it down. And it jumped a curb and got hung up about 500 yards from the east apron of the bridge. And he was the editor of the Tacoma News Tribune newspaper, and his name was Coachwood. And he had to crawl on his stomach to get to the other side. And when he got there, he was very upset that he had left his daughter's dog in the car. Now, in the meantime, the professor from the University of Washington got a phone call from the Bridge and Tunnel Authority and said, you need to get down here, the bridge is going down. Well, he called the guy from the film department at the University of Washington and said, pick up a camera and all the film you've got, we're going to Tacoma. Now, in 1940s, going from Seattle to Tacoma wasn't like jumping on I-5, all right? It was an ordeal. It was a 2-lane highway, right? It was a 2-lane road. And it took them a while to get here. And they got here right around 9:30, 10 o'clock. The professor knows the editor of the News Tribune and wants to know why he's so upset. And the professor says, oh, don't worry about it. We'll get your dog. And then the photographer from the News Tribune showed up. And he wanted to show off to his boss. He said, hey, boss, I'll go get the dog. He made it about halfway there, turned around and ran back. So the professor says, all right, I got this. He made it all the way to... He made it all the way to the vehicle and went to open the door, and the door was locked. But the window was open enough for him to get his arm in there and open the door so he could get the dog out, but the dog bit him. So, biggest bridge disaster in American history, and the only fatality is a 3-legged Cocker Spaniel named Tubby. Anyways, he's down there someplace. If anybody's got a dog biscuit you want to give him as an offering, there we go. So anyway, the bridge came down at 11:30 in the morning, and on November 7th, 1941. Biggest disaster, bridge disaster in history. To this day, if you're building a bridge or you're studying bridge engineering, this is one of the things that you study in detail. So we don't want to do that twice. Now, the second bridge didn't get built until much later in the 1950s, because between 1940 and 1950, we got into a little argument with some people in Europe. Do you remember that? All right. Well, we needed all the steel we could get to build battleships and for the war effort. So we didn't build the second bridge until October, completed until October 1950. So the third bridge, which is the more modern looking one with the concrete towers that are 550 feet high, that was completed in 2007. And it cost probably now close to $1 billion. The cables alone have 8,000 individual strands of steel. There's enough cable in that bridge to wrap 3/4 around the planet. Now, what happened to the first bridge? Everything that fell into the water is still there to this day. It's a historic site and it's protected, so you can't dive down there and take stuff. But we have a very unique creature that lives there. Does anybody know what that creature is? The sea monster. No, it's the Pacific octopus. And this is no joke. This is a 150-pound